Hi, so today I'm going to be going over the concept of drying out your machine after liquid damage. So a very, very common question that I get, whether it's with a laptop or a cell phone or any type of electronics is, should I dry it out? Do you recommend I wait for it to dry out before trying it again? And what I want to go over in this video is that drying out the machine is not going to do anything. In fact, the machine drying off is very much so what you don't want to happen. So I want to show you that under the microscope. So this is somebody who decided, I'm going to turn my computer upside down. I'm going to put it by the heating unit, and I'm going to not turn it on for a month. I'm going to wait for it to dry out before I use it again. And what you'll see is that it did indeed dry out. They did get the machine dried out, but I want to show you what dried out actually means under the microscope. So if I search under the microscope over here, let me show you what you are going to find. This. So there's no liquid there. There's nothing there that's still wet. It did indeed dry out. And what do you think? How do you think this device is going to work? Would you feel comfortable passing electricity through something that looks like this? If your answer is no, that is a very good answer. It did indeed dry out. This is dried out, but again, do you want to use this? That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Again, if you touch this, you won't feel anything wet. But look, what you're worried about, it's not necessarily the liquid itself, it's the minerals and junk and sugar and fluoride and whatever other horse crap is included in the water, in the coffee, in the beer, in the Coca-Cola that you drank. It's not necessarily the actual water. And what you'll also notice is that it gets under the chips. So a lot of people will say, can you just clean that? And they'll grab a Q-tip or a tweezers or whatever, and they'll start doing this. And this is not really going to do much of anything, this type of quote-unquote cleaning. Because very often when people ask me to clean their stuff, they have this idea that it's a process that takes about 2 minutes, and that it's just brushing off what you can see. In fact, the issue is that it's not what you can see, it's what you can't see. So you can see the stuff around the chips over here, but what you can't see, let's get this adjusted, what you can see is what's actually under the chip. So as you can see, this is a chip that has several balls that attach it to the motherboard, and over here all the way to the right you can see how one of those balls is completely demolished. So you can brush the top of it all you want, you can do all you want with traditional cleaning, it's not going to get under that. You can't clean the crud from underneath the chip, and further, waiting for it to dry out has no positive effect on getting rid of corrosion. What you need to do is get this thing out of the machine, put it into an ultrasonic cleaner, and then go from there. So I'm going to show you how that works. The first thing I'm going to do, just because this has a flickering backlight and I don't want to trust the IC that's there, even though this IC probably would work if I reflowed it, what I'm going to do here, even though this may very well work out of the cleaner, is I'm going to give this IC a reflow with some flux before I actually put it in the cleaner so that you can see. And I'm using too much flux, which is standard. Flux is something that allows solder to flow, and it might just help revive the connection that's faulty. So as you can see, the ball that corroded is the feedback ball. It's the one all the way on the right. It's always the one that corroded in this particular circuit. And let's see what we can do. So I have my hot air station turned on. I got my air filter turned on. I'm going to slowly preheat the area, and then I'm going to reflow this chip before I throw it in the cleaner. Again, you could always replace it, but what I want to do in this video is I just want to show you the difference before and after while using the same components when it goes through a proper cleaning versus a drying out. Because you saw what drying out does to this. Drying out does nothing. And I totally realize that, the average home user does not have an ultrasonic cleaner. Don't get it wrong, I understand that completely. It's just a lot of people think I'm making shit up when I say that drying stuff out is not going to do anything, or that I'm being a salesman and I'm making this shit up. And so I figured I would show you with a video. Like, I'm not making this up. This is indeed the reality. So I'm just going to do this, move it around. And now we're going to toss it in the cleaner. And once it comes out of the cleaner, I want to show you what it looks like, and I want to show you what it works. I mean, how it works, not what it works. So, and I'm also going to go over some of these other areas that have this corrosion on them with flux and some hot air, because this is good at redoing solder joints. It's good at not redoing solder joints. It's good at helping solder to flow. So if there's any corroded crap, this is a nice chemical that helps get rid of it. And with that, I will take a phone call. Let's go around to the other side of the board. Yes, lots of flux. It's going to go into an ultrasonic cleaner anyway, so I mean, I don't really give a shit about it looking nasty right now or having excess flux. There's no such thing as too much flux. The only time there's a such thing as too much flux, I should take that back, is if you're doing BGA rework and you're working on a chip that may float away, because the flux can bubble as it heats, and if you have too much of it, it can actually wind up moving your chip. But for shit like this, there's no such thing as too much flux. See how stuff is flowing back into place? It's beautiful. Get rid of all that shit corrosion. And now, once that's done, and the joints are flowed nicely, the reason I'm doing this first and the cleaning second is because all the flux residue will get cleaned off of the board by the ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it comes out of the cleaning process. Okay, so we're back. Now let me show you what the board looks like under the microscope after the ultrasonic cleaning and after everything that we did. So again, this is not exactly a board that's, going to win the win the Miss Motherboard pageant, but it is pretty fucking disgusting. But you can see that it's considerably better than the garbage we had before. And when you look under this chip, you're going to notice that there was damage done because it was used repeatedly that would not have been done if it wasn't turned on over and over again. You can see that that ball at the end, see that? It's not really intact. It's destroyed. So that chip is going to have to be replaced, and we'll go ahead and do that now. That is for the backlight. So I will remove it with my JBC. I just turned my JBC on. I just turned my air filter on. And oh, I left my tweezers in the front. I hate when I do that. Here, tweezers. Okay, I got my tweezers back. My hot air station is ready to go. And somebody walks in. You can always tell when it's a waste of time. That was just somebody who absolutely shit themselves at the idea of paying over $60 to fix the screen of an iPad. Yeah, sure. Let me spend half an hour of time ripping glass off for 20 bucks. Suck my dick. Okay, so we're going to remove this piece over here. I just turned the JBC back on. This is also a great demonstration of how quickly the JBC gets hot, because the chip's already off. See, that's just amazing. Like, this thing is really like above and beyond just an amazing hot air station. But it's 1,800 bucks, so it's not $1,800 worth of amazing, but it is amazing. I stand by the fact that this is not $1,800 worth of amazing. I can't. It's just no. Okay. Move the old shit. My wick got stuck for a second. Okay. We put in, now we're going to get a new chip on there. One second. Okay. Let's get the hot air station back on. Push down on the chip, make sure it's on the pads, not going to move around. And now I wait. Swiper, no swiping! Huh? Yeah, I hit it. Oh, this is supposed to be a joke. Now you should be able to see when I do this that... See, that's what it's supposed to look like when it's nice and fresh. Now what I'm going to do, we're going to plug this in. Okay, joy. So my 3.42 volt rail died. And the reason it died is because this resistor over here, R6905, that's supposed to be measuring 10 ohms, is measuring 300 kiloohms. And that just happened out of the blue. Lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that. So we went from no backlight to no backlight and dead. The joys of working on corroded crap. That's all I have to say there. Most of what I work on is corroded crap, where you go from no backlight to no backlight and dead, or from dead to deader, or from, you know. Here's what it is. So that is going to be this resistor on the board that says 100. So to that resistor, I say goodbye. See, I have 16 volts over here and 3 volts over there, and when I measure it, I have 300 kiloohms, so it's fucked in some way. Now, let's see if I'm back where I started. Beep, little soldering iron. Come on. Beep. 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 Excellent. Right. Alright, we got ourselves some nice fresh flat joints. A lot of people say I use too much solder. You must realize that what I'm doing is I'm trying to get rid of the lead-free solder while putting the leaded on. So what I do is I create that big ball, and I hope everything gets sucked up into the ball, and I swoop it away. If you've ever seen a wave soldering plant, you'll learn a lot that you can incorporate into your own work on how they do things. They have all these PC boards going over this big vat of overflowing solder. And it goes by really fast. And the whisking away is what allows only the solder that's necessary to stay on the pads. Same thing here. I may be using too much solder, but when I do that whisking motion with my hands, all the excess solder goes away. So then I put the new component on, a little bit of flux, and we'll make it look nice. I'm not one of those people that goes to make the joint absolutely perfect, but I do want to make sure that the solder is actually where it's supposed to be. So do that, and do this. We have our nice little component. Move it into place. There we go. Looks beautiful. Now, let's see if my fan goes back to spinning. Would be great if I could be back where I was a half hour ago. Enjoy, the fan spins. Unfortunately, there's no light on the screen. So now I have to figure out why there's no light on the screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the machine on the desk. I'm going to poke around a little. Now the big problem here, is that the way this machine is put together, it's a royal pain in the ass to test, because all the shit I want to measure is on the bottom of the fucking board, and the screen cable is really short. So what are you going to do? Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do is turn it on, see that it turns on, And now I'm going to start measuring in the backlight area. So I'm going to go back to the screen capture over here so that you can see what it is I'm going to measure. And I'll tell you what the voltages are that I get as I go. So the first thing that I'm looking for here in the backlight area, so I've already confirmed that I have 8.5 volts at backlight. Now that doesn't mean that it's working, and it doesn't mean that it's broken. The voltage is going through the circuit, so I know that there's no break in the line from here to here. There's no break in the line from here to there, from there to there. I know that there's no break in the line across this top section. So the whole idea, the way this works, you should check out my video on how a DC to DC boost circuit works, where I explain all of this. So I know that there's no breaks on the top. Now what I want to do, this is the LED driver chip that's going to be responsible for the DC to DC boost circuit doing its boosting. I want to check backlight enable voltage. So let's just check where that exactly I would measure that on my board view software. This board view software is such a pile of shit. Okay. Such a steaming pile. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure voltage in this area. And the voltage that I get here is... Let's see. Can I get that without a microscope? Barely. Okay, let's go back to the microscope so I can see this stuff well. It's a little blurry, but I'd have to move the stands in order to go any further up, so I'll just live with it. 0. Now at the top of this voltage divider, I have 8.3. So it's supposed to be dividing. This is the interesting thing here. So what's going on is my... Alright, so I'm going to turn this off right now. Now this is interesting. So this resistor measured fine before, right? So according to this, that first resistor is supposed to be 200 kiloohms. And when I measure here, I get 200 kiloohms. Okay, I was getting 200 kiloohms, and now I get shit. Motherfucker piece of crap. Okay. That thing worked before. Not like any of you are going to believe me anyway, so I'll just replace it. Not like any of you are going to believe me. I didn't have a reason to lie. Trust me, I don't... The only thing I get out of lying is looking like a moron on camera. Which I do enough as is. So now we're going to find another one. If any of my donor boards have another one. Which, who are we kidding? Seriously? Seriously? Okay, it's 200 kiloohms. Is anything else in the area 200 kiloohms? I'll steal another 200 kiloohm resistor. Let's see. Where on this board can I find another 200 kiloohm resistor with the same specs? You're... fuck it, I'll take you. Okay, R3891. Actually, wait, no, that's the different board that I don't have. Crap, I'm looking for it on the 3437. I have to open another schematic here. And another board view. This is what I hate doing. Because you're right, you know, I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just find another one? Surely there's another 200 kiloohm resistor on the board. But now I got to open 2 schematics. And now I got to open 2 board views side by side. And that's just a pain in the ass. Alright, so fine. 200 kiloohms. I need 200 kiloohms, 0201. This is good. Okay, so R7096. Let's find that on an 820-3437 and steal it for the voltage divider for backlight enable. And hope that somebody doesn't walk in while I'm doing this, because then I'll forget what I was doing and why I was here. And I'll have to start from scratch. That's what sucks about working on the weekend, being the only person here. Like every time somebody walks in, if I'm doing a board repair, I have to remember what it was I was doing. And if I can't remember what I was doing, I have to start from scratch. And that is just annoying as hell. All right, so I found it. Now let's get to replacing. And you can kind of see that it looks fucked up. Here is one of those cases where if it looks fucked up, it is fucked up. I knew it looked bad, that's the thing, but it looked nasty, but it measured totally fine, so I figured, you know, I had a little bit of some leeway. Apparently not. Okay, let's get rid of this motherfucker. Go away. Trolling little piece of shit. Fuck you. See, I take time to orient the tip so that as much of it is touching the board as possible. A lot of new people will be like, you know, why doesn't my solder stick? And they're doing some dumb shit like this, where they're like putting solder on the iron. You see how it climbs all the way up the iron, and then they touch the board, and they're like, my solder's not sticking, my solder's not sticking. And it's like, of course it's not. See, you have to heat the pad, and then you rush the solder into the pad, and there you go. The solder follows heat. And I know you're going to say, well, Lewis, everybody doesn't know how to do this. Everybody has to start somewhere. You're right. That's why I put up all this stuff. I would like to think that I'm not doing it as a waste of my time. Please watch it, read it, learn. Okay, let's see if I get a light on the screen now. That would be great if I get a light on the screen now. Aha! Yeah, I turned off the light for the video stuff, so I look like shit. But I always look like shit, so who cares? Delete this part, covering the name, and there you go. I have a light. So that's that. So, yeah. This was supposed to be a much shorter video than it wound up being, but yeah. Drying out your machine does not work. If it does work, you may be, and this is going to look ridiculous. If it does work, it either means you're one of those lucky people where the liquid never actually got to the motherboard, or it means that you're one of the lucky people who has a corroding motherboard, but for some reason it works anyway. But that doesn't mean that that's good advice. It doesn't mean that letting the machine dry out with that shit inside of it is good advice. Because you see what it does. This was all on camera from the beginning to the end. You see what it does. Again, it's just like the rice theory. The rice crap is all a bunch of bullshit. That's a myth. So is just letting the thing dry out. That's a really, really, really bad idea. Even if you don't have the best of equipment, just, you know, buy a baking tray from the corner store deli for $1. Get a toothbrush. Get some 91% alcohol from your local pharmacy. Pour it in, and buy a new toothbrush. This entire project is going to cost you like $5 or $10. Buy a T5 or a T6 or a double zero Phillips screwdriver, whatever you need for your particular machine, to take it apart. And take it apart and put the board in there and give it a good scrub. You're not going to be able to get underneath every chip. You're not going to do a perfect job, but it's much better than just letting that shit sit there with the battery plugged in and all this corroding crap getting on it. And that's that for today.